I guarantee someone watching this is gonna be like, "Oh, he's in Europe. That doesn't count. Girls there are
Yeah.
sluts. Like it doesn't count." Let's get into your last week. So
Yes.
tell me, you had at least one date lined up, potentially. You had a number of girls that you approached. You set up plans with them. What has materialized from that, and what have you done in the last week?
I only managed to get one like approaching session in,
Okay.
but I've been on two other dates as well, including that one I said I was going to go on.
Okay. Well, that's good to hear. And the dates, were they from Cold Approach or?
Yeah,
And
they
by
were
the way,
from.
for people watching this on YouTube later, how many like were you getting dates from Cold Approach before?
No, never. Cold approaches is basically something I've never done before.
So it turned out the potential, like it hasn't been that long, but it's already starting to get some results, right?
Yeah, for sure,
Okay.
for
So
sure.
if a girl goes on a date with you, basically that means that she was at least interested in you and she's open to the possibility of dating you. 9 times out of 10. It doesn't mean it's guaranteed, but it means you could have made something happen with her on the date, usually, right? Like
Yeah,
there's no reason to go on a date with someone if you're totally like, I definitely am not interested in him. So that means that you have passed a certain threshold where the results are pretty much there if you just know how to like take the lead, right? If you
yeah, definitely.
close, if you will. So what happened on the date, that first date?
The first date we went on a mountain. We went for hiking. The conversations were very good, and we had a good time. I managed to just spoke freely, and I wasn't in my head, not at all, which a lot of guys tend to do, including myself.
Yeah.
I used to think very much of what I were going to say next, but I didn't this time. So it went pretty well. But later on, when we were about to go home, I invited her to go back to my place, but she rejected it.
So how do you feel about, are you happy that you actually did it?
Yeah, I'm actually happy that I did it. This, I think it's hard to explain. It's kind of like usually I would just normally when I would get rejected, I would just think about all the possibilities of why, but now I really don't. Now I'm seeing it more as a progress because I normally wouldn't take that step.
I think there's a few reasons for that. I think one is because you're approaching more girls, talking to more girls. It's like it's an abundance mindset versus a scarcity mindset. If you get
Yeah,
rejected by a girl and she's the only girl, like if you live the lifestyle most guys do, a date only comes along once every few months, if that. So when you have a date and then she rejects you, you're just going to ruminate and think about all the things that could have gone better. You're going to be like, fuck, fuck, fuck. Or you're going to think like, why am I not good enough? You're going to get some incel
mhm,
kind of thoughts like, if only I was taller, if only I was X, Y, or Z,
yeah,
would have went home with me. Like it sucks. I'm never going to get a girl. But if you're doing a lot of approaches and other girls are agreeing to go on dates with you, you're having the
yeah,
interactions where girls are like laughing, clearly attracted to you, you're getting this feedback, then it's like, okay, that might be a little that's not ideal. It'd still be cool if she said yes, but it's not the end of the world. There's a million other opportunities with girls who are just as cool as her, and I can learn from that to help make something happen next time, right? Just
yeah,
your mindset. That's one of the reasons doing cold approach is so good, even if you want a girlfriend, is because if you're doing cold approach, then when you have a girl you really like, you're not going to get overly invested,
yeah, for sure.
right? You have an abundance mindset. So even if you're looking for a girlfriend, that's okay. Cold approach is a better way to get it, because what most guys do is they get super invested in one girl from work, spend all this fucking time investing in her, and then they come across so needy and desperate, and they hate themselves when she finally rejects them, if they ever even make a move. A lot of times I
Yeah,
didn't even make
definitely.
the girls I had crushes on. So it's kind of sad. And people see pickup as this like niche, weird way to go about things if you like are some player. But it doesn't have to be just if you're a player. If you're looking for a family or whatever, it works for that too,
Yeah.
because this difference in mindset. Okay, so that date, how did you ask her back to your place?
I was just it's it it flowed kind of natural because we were just talking about training and food, and then and we came into the topic of pancakes and protein pancakes, and then I just invited her to come back to my place to make protein pancakes basically.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is that later, some days later, she snapped me and she wanted to go come back to my place to do that, to make protein pancakes. So even though she rejected me on that day, now she wants it.
Yeah. Did you set a date for doing that?
And no, I haven't yet because I've been busy with all the other girls because
Okay.
I have to go
That's
on dates with them.
on one level. I think you should. You might as well. I mean, you already put the date in. Might as well
Yeah,
set the plan, see what happens. Um,
yeah,
I mean, that is something we talked about last time. Is that a lot of guys think like making the move, like inviting a girl over to your place, like if she rejects you, it's over.
mm,
But a lot of the time it's actually the opposite. A lot of the time it makes you like a sexual option. It makes it seem like this is a guy who I could have sex with because he made a move. And she might not want it then, she might not be ready yet, she might not be comfortable or not in the mood. But then later when she's like horny, let's say, on her own time,
yeah,
then who's she going to think about? The guy who had the balls to put himself out there. She's like, this is a real dude, not the weird Instagram guys who are, DMing her like, hey, babe. It's the guy who had the balls to go on a date with her and make that ask. And a lot of times a girl will reject you in the moment, but not later.
exactly.
Whereas what happens if you didn't ask at all? She probably wasn't going to hit you up to make pancakes at your place because um, if anything, she's going to think, well, maybe you're just too afraid to make a move. Maybe you weren't attracted to her. Like either she's going to feel insecure or she's going to feel that you're insecure. And either way, that's not good.
Uh, and very rarely she is going to take the lead. So you have to be taking the lead anyways.
Very, very rarely.
Because
I've only had that happen a handful of times in my life. And obviously I've gone on a lot more dates than most guys. And that's still, it's only happened. I can remember like every time that's happened because it's so rare. Yeah.
yeah, but that was actually happened on the two dates afterwards. That's what happened. So
So
I'm
you
kind of
had
like,
this week?
yeah,
Okay. I mean, that's a lot.
yeah, but it's kind of like uh, it's a good thing, but also I feel like I didn't learn anything from those experiences
Well, even if
in
you did
terms
learn,
in terms of taking the lead and taking action, kind of because it just happened to me.
well, it's okay if you did like either you win or you learn, right? So I feel
Yeah,
like if you learn, that's good. But if you win, it's not like oh shit, I didn't learn. Like you still actually do learn because it's a reference experience that tells you
yeah, of
positive
course.
mindset, right? If girls are making moves on you, it helps reinforce positive beliefs. So there's
Yeah,
still actually value either way. Get the girl or don't get the girl, you're getting valuable lessons. So when was tell me about the second date out of three?
yeah, that was just 2 days after. That was on
Okay.
a Wednesday.
And how did you
So
meet the girl, by the way?
I just straight up asked her to come back to my place. Same thing, protein pancakes, my house, because
Wait,
everybody knows
how'd you meet her originally?
what.
How'd you meet
Ah,
her?
I met, yeah, I met her at the mall. I
You
met
at
her
the
at the
mall?
mall. Yeah, at the mall, at the local mall, and I just talked about some random shit, and then I just asked her for a Snapchat, and then we talked a little bit back and forth. Kept it quite
During
short.
the pandemic, right?
What?
During the pandemic, I think that's
During the
important
pandemic,
for people
during
to
the
be aware
lockdown.
of that it's still possible then. So
Yeah, it is.
you met her, you
It,
invited her. Go ahead.
yeah, it was quite hard during the pandemic, especially during the very strict pandemic time. But there were always people that were working at the mall, so I just approached the people that were working there. So one of the girls, I just talked a little bit back and forth on Snapchat, just casually about what I'm doing and what she's doing, and then I just straight up asked her back to my place to
For
make protein pancakes.
that's
Yeah,
gonna
because everybody seemed to know that I I'm into fitness, and everybody wants to know more about that kind of stuff. So
The protein pancakes is going to become like some infamous move that everyone,
yeah,
it's
yeah, basically,
pancakes and chill is the new like
yeah, changing the world.
production community. They're gonna be like, oh, did you ask her for the protein pancakes? No. Well, you done fucked up, bro. That's
Yeah,
the move. And every girl's gonna be like, what, are you gonna ask me for protein pancakes? So
yeah,
invited her, she came over, and then what happened?
yeah. So she came over, and she just first she pulled me over to the couch, and then we met out, and then she just dragged me into
Wow.
the bedroom.
That's kind of
Yeah,
like it's cool when a girl is assertive like that and just like
yeah.
it's not very common for that to happen, but it's like,
No, not really.
all right, nice,
That is, yeah, that's not something that's happened often to me.
okay, so that went well, I suppose.
Yeah, yeah,
Pretty
for
about
sure.
as well as it could go. And I mean, that's again, it shows during this whole quarantine situation, still possible to meet girls. And part of the reason it might have went that way, I mean, obviously a lot of it has to do with her being attracted to you and what you did, but part of it might actually be because there's a drought of men and
Yeah, yeah. People
not,
are quarantine horny.
yeah, they're
Yeah,
quarantined.
for sure,
So she
for
might
sure.
sex with anyone for a while now, unless she uses dating apps. A lot of girls don't. So if she's not using dating apps, you're the one, opportunity. You're like, it's like being in a desert, and then there's the mirage, the little, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
Uh, then you just jump in on that,
yeah,
Nation.
for sure.
That's good to hear. And is that the first time from Cold Approach that you
Yeah, probably.
will?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, it is.
So that's a pretty big milestone.
Yeah, 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 for sure.
Okay. And so then what about the date after that?
Same thing, protein pancakes, but the third one was a bit. It took a little bit more time, a little bit more of a warm up before,
So
but
how
it went like this time we actually had to make the food and sit down, eat it, and talk. And then she wanted to watch a movie, so we went, and my laptop is in the bed most of the time, so we jumped in there, and then she just yeah, it just happened.
yeah, generally, I mean, uh, having a situation where like if you have two chairs set up in your room and a TV, in terms of like girls, in terms of dates, that's not ideal because now you're creating a situation where it's easier to like you have to sit next to her now, right? That's easier than going to the bed to watch the TV, and it's kind of hard to make a move. But if you have no chairs, you just have a bed and a laptop, well, then it's like, well, if we're gonna watch a movie, this is the obvious way to do it. That's a way to basically make things simpler.
Yeah,
It's a very technical thing, but that having your place set up so that proceeding in that direction is easier is better. It's like how Amazon has a one-click buy option. If
yeah,
you had to put in all the different steps, it's less likely that it'll actually go through. But if you have a one-click buy, it's just like, okay, why not?
yeah. My cousin, he only has TV in his bedroom just because of that.
He only, yeah.
So that when a girl comes over and he's like, yeah, let's go to the bedroom, and she's like, why? Yeah, the TV's there. I only have a TV there.
Yeah, no, I have the same setup. It's I mean, uh,
Yeah,
besides, like,
but,
I
but
think it's good for you anyway. The only good use is that.
yeah,
So there's yeah, pro tip there. Um,
for
okay, so
sure.
that's the second date, same thing. So that's two girls in 1 week.
Yeah,
And after what? That's like a month of cold approach out of a 12-week program.
yeah, it's insane actually.
Yeah. So I mean, there are some people, look, to be fair, because some people are gonna be watching this YouTube video. If you're starting at a point where your social skills are not as good and you're not let's say your life situation, you don't have experience with women, like you've never gone on a date because you've had girlfriends before, right?
Yeah,
Right, like you weren't getting the kinds of consistency you wanted at all, but it's not like you never had girls in your life
Yeah.
and you're relatively confident, successful guy. So if you're starting at a lower place, you might not expect that in the first month to go like that quickly. However, that does show the level of progress that can be made in even as short as 1 month, going from never having slept with a girl from cold approach to doing so twice in 1 week, which is pretty crazy if you think about it. And that's a lot of the people I coach, that's what ends up happening. Like you just need a little bit of direction, a little bit of structure, a little bit of accountability. And then, I mean, girls like sex. Like it's not, you're not having to like create some desire they don't already have. A lot of it's just putting it
Yeah.
out there, right?
Yeah. For
So,
sure.
so you did do one session, right? Where you went out and did cold approach. How did that go?
Pretty well, but now the dieting is starting to get to me. But I managed to do a lot of girls, and I asked for like 15 of them for the number. I just went for it.
Wow.
Yeah,
You approach over.
but yeah.
And where was this? A mall or?
Now this was out in the city center. Now people are kind of like walking around. Things are starting to open up now. So this was in the city center.
Okay. A lot of other cities are probably similar. So just downtown, there's people just walking around.
Yeah, it's starting to open up a bit. Here in Norway, we're probably the place with the fewest what's called the infection rate is kind of the lowest of most countries, but it's just the things here open very slow. Like in Italy is before us, even though their pandemic was much worse than us. Yeah. But it's starting to open.
I guarantee someone watching this is gonna be like, "Oh, he's in Europe. That doesn't count. Girls there are sluts. Like it doesn't count. Like whatever it is. Like if you say like LA, then Europeans will be like, "Oh, it doesn't count. Were they foreign or were they foreign? Doesn't count." Apparently game only counts if they're like they have to be hot, they have to be white for some reason. They have to be either whatever country you're not from. And then it counts as game. Otherwise, they're just sluts.
Yeah, in my opinion, the girls here, those are the hardest because, in my opinion, Norwegians aren't like very outgoing. You only talk to the people you know and the people you have to talk to.
The thing is, literally everyone says that.
Yes, probably.
And it's mostly the same. Like if you're in a country with Sharia law,
Yeah.
a little bit different. If you're in a country where like you're not allowed to just talk to strangers or something, if you're in a very fundamentalist country, then it's a little bit different. But even then, like girls are attracted to guys. Like it's not. There's no country where it's like game doesn't work. It's a fundamental part of who we are. And some people are going to say, "Oh, you don't get credit because it's in Norway. Those are Europeans." It's stupid. It's the same. Okay, so you did how many approaches do you about?
Probably like 20.
20, and you asked for 15 of their numbers, and how many?
Yeah. I got 5. So this time I got rejected a couple times. But it's okay. It's okay.
And how did the rejections go?
I took it quite well, and they took it quite well. I just said like, okay, have a good day.
So they weren't.
And then No, not at all. Not at all. No, it's actually no, none of them. Some of them were actually quite flattered, anyways.
So are you saying even getting rejected was somewhat a positive experience and not a horrible toxic masculinity kind of situation?
Yeah, the whole conversation was quite nice, to be fair, even after the initial rejection as well.
And that is the mindset to have. Like if she rejects you, if you have a mindset that she owes you something, and you have a big ego, then you might get all bitter towards her, and then it escalates. And then she's like, "Go the fuck up! Like, what are you doing?" But if you're polite and you don't act like she owed you something, right? You treat her with basic respect. uh, the rejection, a lot of times it can improve your mood. You can have a good conversation, laugh it off, and you're like, it didn't mean anything. It wasn't a big deal.
Yeah.
And she actually left smiling. So, you know what? Cool. Nothing bad can happen.
Yeah, and you can probably make her day.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of the time I've had girls have told me a number of times, like, I wish more guys would do this. You just made my day. And that's one thing about cold approach that gets misunderstood. But it's also partly because a lot of coaches, what they teach is to go for the close no matter what and plow. And like, even if the girl's like saying no or seems uncomfortable, just keep going, be a shark. And I don't advocate going that far.
Yeah, and trying to use techniques to like twist her mind or stuff like that.
She's rejecting you. Look, if she rejects you and she's giving you negative feedback, it's like a 90% chance that nothing's going to happen, even if you were perfect. Like, she's rejecting you for a reason. So you're kind of wasting your time. It's like you're playing a bad hand in poker and you just keep playing it. You're going to lose more the more you invest in it. So just, if you're getting negative signs from a girl, she's clearly doesn't want to talk to you, or she's not making eye contact, she looks uncomfortable. You know, you don't want to put, like, if every interaction you're just leaving immediately without going for the number, okay, then you're kind of, you're not pushing enough. But don't push to the point where girls are getting upset with you or you're making them uncomfortable. Like, it's okay to take the rejection and just move on to the next one.
Yeah, for sure.
And it can be a positive experience. So, okay. So you got, are there any interactions that stuck out?
Not of the positive ones, because there were one interaction, like, and that one girl, that was a 10 out of 10.
Okay.
And that's, now I know that that's where the challenge lie, because now I'm at the point where I kind of like, I want a higher caliber of women, and I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I saw this girl, and then I just immediately went back to that old me, where I was right back in my head. What do I say to her? What do I say? But I forced myself to go and talk to her anyways. I went to ask her for direction. I just came up with something stupid like, where's the nearest? And then I just completely lost it.
One thing that can sometimes help in that situation is if you are really nervous in your head, like, just verbalize the fact that you're feeling like screw you. Like, you're so hot, it's making me nervous. Like, I'm not used to feeling that. And a lot of times, first of all, it's extremely flattering in a way that is very visceral and real. And then secondly, it takes off the pressure from yourself. So if you just put it out there that you're feeling the way you're feeling, because the reason we get that buildup of tension and feel all nervous is because there's something that we are hiding. We're trying to protect ourselves. And if you protecting yourself and you just say, you know what, you're actually making me nervous. It's kind of pissing me off. Like, there's something so interesting about you. Say something like that. And then that can relieve that tension, and then you stop caring. And a lot of times you might even end up getting a date with that girl, even though you're nervous. I mean, one of my close friends from a couple of years ago, he approached a girl who he considered like his perfect 10. And he was so nervous, visibly, like I was there. He was like, oh, he couldn't even talk to her. But she ended up dating him. They ended up together because she saw that made him vulnerable, right? If you're nervous and you don't hide it, it makes you vulnerable. It makes you real. And it actually shows you're not a player, because if you're a player and you felt nothing and you're just super confident, some girls are not going to like that. They're like, why is this guy so easily able to just approach me and like be so smooth? Like, he must get a lot of girls. Some girls are cool with that. They're like, yeah, I want the guy who's like that. Some girls actually prefer the guy who's a little bit nervous.
Yeah, for sure.
Because the qualities about you, it shows, and it shows you really care. And some girls want a guy who really cares, as opposed to the more dominant type of archetype, right?
Yeah, some girls want that touchy-feely guy.
Yeah, a lot do. I'd say overall, just being really confident is better than being nervous. Sure. But being nervous isn't as bad as you think. And a certain percentage, let's say 30%, I don't know, off the top of my head, will actually prefer that. Right? A certain percentage actually like that better. And girls, they don't have super high self-esteem either.
That's true.
So if you come across as too confident, that can actually make them feel insecure in comparison. And if you're insecure in you and they see that, they see you're flawed and you're a normal person, they can relate to you better. That's why some girls don't like the super jacked guys, because they're like, this guy takes himself way too seriously. He's like this, not like a normal person, right? It's hard to relate to.
Yeah, for sure. Some instances I've come across as the like weird guy or like the freaky guy because I'm so ripped or so shredded, and yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
normal people doesn't go around with like crazy bodies, and yeah.
yeah. So, what ended up happening in that interaction after you asked for the directions?
Then I just said, "Oh, have a nice day," and then I just walked.
Hey, so, but you made a step in the right direction.
Yeah, I would never done that before. Before I would just daydream,
Yeah, I
think
would
like,
say that's a
"Wow,
big win.
yeah,
That's an important step. And really it's desensitization. So every time you approach a girl like that and you're like, you come out the other side and you're like, okay, not the end of the world. It wasn't like some fairy tale, like it's just a normal girl. I bitched out a little bit. Okay. You become a little bit more desensitized to talking to that kind of girl in the future. And then at a certain
yeah,
point, it's just like talking to any other girl. You just see every girl as a girl, as opposed to, oh, she's the special, queen or whatever. She's just another woman. And let's see if we have chemistry. It doesn't matter whether she's on your standards in terms of physical attractiveness, whether she's a 5 or a 10 or whatever.
yeah,
So that will come with time. I mean, it's good to make a rule for yourself. Whenever you see a girl who like gives you butterflies, in your stomach, like it makes you feel like, whew, a little nervous.
yeah,
You have to approach her.
yeah, for sure." And that's where the level I want to get to, like being able to have those opportunities.
Yeah. Well, the more you do that, that's the first step towards that. The more you do that, the less those girls will have this like emotional power over you or whatever,
Mhm.
to where
Yeah,
you're to them. Okay. So you ended up getting, are there any other interactions that stood out in some way?
no, not really.
Okay. So you got 5 girls' numbers. And how did you get their numbers? I'm curious about that. Like, or their Instagram or whatever. Because by the way, Jacob has do you not want guys following your Instagram?
Yeah, for sure.
Or do you want that? Because guys, like, obviously if I put your Instagram and you're following this, don't like put pickup comments on his Instagram. But is it okay if I like link it?
Yeah, for sure.
Because you have a really good Instagram, and that's probably partly why you're able to ask girls straight to your place, because they see you have all this social proof. Like it kind of implies you're not a weirdo serial killer. Uh,
Yeah, and they see what you do for on an everyday basis. You're not
yeah,
like
yeah,
the creepy guy who sits in his basement and do nothing and just waits for a girl to walk by.
right. And it shows you have a really good Instagram, and that definitely plays in your favor. Having a lot of followers, having pictures that make you look good, make you look like you have a cool life. And are you asking the girls for their Instagrams?
Yeah, some or just Snapchat because it's easier to communicate there, especially here in Norway, because Snapchat is a very big thing here.
I see. And
Very,
so
it's
what?
more often.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
No, you go ahead.
it's more often where it's kind of rare to just DM when you're texting with someone. It's more normal to snap people. So
Okay.
that's why it's just easier to. It's more chill to ask for a Snapchat.
Right. I got you. It's still probably a good idea to link them your Instagram or get that as
Yeah, usually their name, their username on Snapchat.
oh no, you cut out there for a second.
Very often the username on Snapchat and on Instagram is very often the same. So what happens very often is that when I get the Snapchat, I just follow them on Instagram as well, and then they follow me back, and then they see my page.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. So when you ask for the Snapchat, do you just say like, "Hey, what's your Snapchat?" Or
Yeah,
are you more specific?
yeah, pretty much. I don't have any. I don't have any textbook thing that I follow, or I just ask for it.
So it can help get a lower rate of flakes if you make some kind of plans. So if you're just saying, hey, like, what's your Snapchat? That's cool. If they really like you, they'll end up seeing you again, possibly. But if instead you say, like, hey, it's actually been really cool meeting you. I know this is really spontaneous, but we should get coffee sometime. And then she's like, yeah, definitely. Then you can ask, when are you free this week? And then
that's what I usually I do say something like that, but in the past I've been so obsessed with like what to say, and I've been reading through a lot of lines like you just said right now, so that when I come to that interaction, I'm just all in my head, trying to figure out what was that line again, how were that. So now I'm more on that try to wing it side, and that has been much better for me.
You could say whatever you want. However, if you put out the idea that, something more specific, or we should hang out again for a date, just statistically, it's more likely to happen because she's already made a commitment.
Yeah.
So if you do that, you could say it a million different ways, but if you say like, we should hang out sometime, when are you free? Something like that. You've already done that in person, and then you have to do less work over text. And then she's already been like, I want to see this guy again. And that context is different than the context of, oh, I just gave this guy my Instagram.
Yeah.
So I'd say generally you're going to get a lower rate of flakes if you do something along those lines. So out of those 5 girls, like, did you follow up? Have you made plans with any of them?
No, not yet.
Not yet? You haven't texted
them? I've texted them, but I haven't set any specific date or day.
Okay, but some of them are replying.
Yeah, they are snapping. It's for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
What are they sending pictures or something?
No, not nudes or something, but they are into it. They are engaging.
Yeah. Okay. So that's good. So what are your do you have dates coming up?
Not to be that excuse guy, but I am actually very busy this week and the next week. It's full packed because I have to finish the jobs that I've taken now since the gym have been closed. I have to work alternatively. I have to finish all my projects there, and then I have to prepare for the gym openings.
Okay. So you just don't think you have time for a date?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. What about
and the next approach sessions? Those have to be like when I'm on my way to certain places.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how about finding 30 minutes here and there?
Yeah, that works. I can do that on my way to like certain places.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I would do. I mean, keep doing something, even if you have less time. It's better to maintain to some extent than to completely drop a habit because you're focused on one thing. When you get focused on one thing, then everything else just gets worse. Yeah. So like, even if you've wanted to improve your fitness a long time, but you get slammed with work, well, it doesn't mean stop dieting. It doesn't mean do no workouts. Instead, do some 15-minute workouts or something, like whatever you can manage, just so you don't go down, and so the habit doesn't fall off because you have momentum to these things.
Instead of doing a 6-day split, you can do a full body split on 2 days or 1 day, or you
find a way to make it so you're still making some progress, as opposed to falling behind, like falling down. Because if you start doing that, that can really set you back. Like it ends up multiplying, because then you lose the habit, then you have to build the habit again and get the momentum going again, and then it's easy. A lot of guys will end up, say with fitness, I'm sure you've had clients who like they take a break and then they end up getting fat again,
for sure. Yes. Oh yes.
It just happens. And I've had that happen to me. Like there was a period where I was in really good shape, and then I went like, I don't know, I for some reason I was like focusing on my business. I was like, I'll do fitness later. And then before I knew it, it was like 8 months later and I was 40 pounds overweight. Like it just happened. And that's the same thing can happen here.
Yeah. Consistency and repetition is key.
Yeah, even if it's a little bit of consistency is a lot.
Oh, yes.
So so what do you think is realistic for you in terms of like, do 3 30-minute sessions or?
I'm not sure actually, but I can fit it in here and there.
Well, what do you think? What's the most you could commit to? And then if you can do more, that'd be good.
I can probably do like 3 small sessions.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Or if I have the time like I did this week, this week I didn't have time to do like multiple, but I said do one very big. It will be either one of those.
Okay. So, yeah. So 3 times sounds good. Do you have particular days that you think you'll have time, or is it random?
Um, Friday is probably a better day
Okay.
since on that day I probably have gotten some of the work done, so that I have less on my mind at that point.
So like Friday, Saturday, Sunday?
Sunday everything is closed here in Norway.
Friday,
That's
Saturday,
like
Monday?
yeah, probably. No, Monday is the gym opening. That will be very hectic. But yeah, Friday, Saturday, probably the best days.
Okay. Then do at least that. And if you can throw in like Thursday or Wednesday or something, that would
I
be,
will. I will.
yeah. I mean, the more specific you get, the better. If you find out you're taking on too much, it's okay to reduce it a little bit, but having something specific that you're consistent to is very important. The more vague you are, the easier it is to procrastinate.
Yeah.
So if you're like, if your goal is like, let's say with fitness, if your goal is I want to get in better shape, that's so vague. Like what
Yeah,
is,
it's so easy to say.
right? What does success equal? You have to have a definition of what success equals and what failure.
Yeah.
So, and then on the other extreme, if you're like, I'm going to work out an hour and a half every day, 7 days of the week, you're probably going to burn yourself out. And that's bad too, because at least you'll make some progress, but you're going to burn yourself out. So you got to find something that has a pass and a fail, but that you're able to do. And then you kind of increase it over time. Just like, with the weights, you might start with 20-pound dumbbells for curls, but then you try to increase it, every couple weeks until you're at a point where you're 50, 55, et cetera. And that's the same applies here. If you can only go out a couple times a week and any more than that, you start to feel like overwhelmed. That's okay, but just slowly increase it until you're at a good level to where you're making the progress you want to make.
Yeah, for sure. Whenever I'm having client consultation for the first time,
Yeah.
and when we're going through their goals, we very often I use the SMART model. I use that here as well in game and pickup as well.
Yeah, the SMART goal setting model.
Yeah.
Which is something that you can Google it. SMART goals, which is it's basically what I do. I don't like.
Yeah, it's basically what you said. It's
That's basically what I do.
yeah, it's basically what you said.
Yeah. Okay. So how can people find you if they're interested in learning about, the potentially doing online personal training with you, or they want to see your content? How can they find you?
Mainly on Instagram at the moment. There they can find either my email, or there they can find valuable content and how to get in great shape. And my main content is based on how you can get in good shape while still having a great lifestyle. While you still don't have to neglect anything.
So without being too extreme in terms of, so hopefully, like, Mike Chang, like a legit, like
yeah,
scammy fake version.
Yeah, I'm the real world Mike Chang.
The real results, Mike Chang.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I will be posting more on YouTube as well.
Yeah, I think you have a lot of potential there. Seeing the progress you've gotten, you just gotta learn more about like the titles. I was looking through your channel. I think titles is big. Having titles with
Yeah,
SEO.
I have I'm looking into it.
Yeah.
And just overall just doing it, pumping out content.
Big one. Believe it or not.
But that's the most important thing. Like, same with game. Just go out there, put yourself out there, and you can learn everything else on the way.
Yeah, your rate of progress depends on how smart you are about analyzing yourself, paying attention, making sure you correct course when you're not getting the results you want. But like the results come if you take the action. The rate can, but you will make progress if you're out there putting yourself out there.
Yeah, like same with in the gym. Like when I started in the gym, I didn't know the heck I was doing, and I still did it. And imagine, and I didn't. Things weren't optimal at all. I was doing a lot of things wrong, but I still got some progress. And imagine if I were to quit back then, I would nowhere near. I would nowhere near where I am today.
Yeah, and you have to see every little piece of product progress as a win, which is a little bit easier to do with fitness, because like
that's more like
you get a new PR,
specific.
right? You get a new PR, or you just see yourself in the mirror like with the pump, and you can tell you're like a little bit more muscle, right? You see that little bit of difference, or you look at the scale, and you hold on to that, and you're like, "Fuck yeah!" That becomes addictive. And the same thing can happen with game. But you have to loosen your standards a little bit, because if you're like only getting laid or getting a girlfriend, like those are the only standards where I made progress, well, then it can feel like you're beating your head against the wall until you get there, which could take a month. It could take a few months. It depends, right? On how you're going about it and what your starting point is. So instead, like every time a girl smiles, every time you do an approach and the world doesn't end, every time that you get a girl's number, like all those things, you got to see those as wins, as if you're looking in the mirror, seeing an improvement in physique, and then you become addicted to the progress, and then the results 100% come if you keep on that. And they won't be as fast as possible at first. And I think for you probably, I bet if you had gotten personal training when you started, you probably would have gotten faster results.
Oh, for sure. That's something I really wished I had done. It would have saved me years of just trial and error.
Right. Same is true for me. When I started doing anything in the gym, I just didn't know anything about diet. I didn't know how important it was. So I wasn't eating enough calories, and that severely limited the amount of, muscle I could build, which is what I was trying to do. So that applies to the gym. That applies to this. The results, if you get coaching, the results, and the coach is good. I mean, if you get a shitty coach, it might not help. If the coach is good, it will reduce your learning curve. But if you can't afford that, you can't do that, at least putting yourself out there, you'll make some progress. And as long as you give yourself credit and like appreciate that you're making some progress and see little wins, then it'll start to escalate. It'll start to build, and you'll get it's almost like an exponential curve. Like at first it's very slow, but then it builds up more and more over time. And by the way, if you're interested in getting coaching with me, I do boot camps. I also do online coaching. You can click the link below to check that out. Check out what the different offerings are. But yeah, is there anything else you want to say before we wrap this video up?
No, that's pretty much it, I think.
Cool. I mean, it's gone. You're doing quite well. And basically, if you keep on the same trajectory, I think like the results are going to be pretty satisfactory.
Yeah. And for those people who think like you're going to become like this pickup artist, you have to like, the realization I have made is that it was through a podcast that I listened to, is that there are like two things we as human beings want in life. It's to reproduce, and we want to like get enough money for ourselves. And like, if you were to ask any guy what kind of like superpower you would like to have, probably most of the things would be to like get the girls,
being cool so you can check out girls.
Yeah, being able to like pull any girl that you want,
like the person that comes up.
Yeah, and you have to think that it's a very natural thing from a physiological standpoint as well.
Yeah. So you mean there's nothing wrong with it?
No, for sure.
Because that's what a lot of people think. I mean, that's what there's a reason society makes men feel creepy for being sexual. And partly is it can be if you don't respect people's boundaries, which a lot of guys don't. And so because there's a certain percentage of men that are like that, society teaches like hitting on women, being sexual, like they make it universally creepy because it's easier to do that than to have all guys thinking it's okay to be sexual and then having those percentage of creeps feel like it's okay to be creepy. Right. So it's kind of, it's too nuanced and complicated of a subject. So what society does is just say, men wanting sex, it's fucking wrong. It's fucking creepy. That's the easy way to solve the problem. And you know, society wants people to be in a monogamous relationship because that's actually what makes society function. If men were just like romping around, banging a bunch of chicks,
Yeah.
society can't function as well. It actually got designed that way because before monogamy was an enforced political thing, or by religion, by politics, you know what ended up happening? Um, there was much higher rates of crime, because what will happen is there's a bunch of men and only say 10% get all the women. They'll end up
Yeah.
having polygamous relationships. That's what naturally happens if you don't enforce monogamy. And then what about the other 90% of men? They're all fighting for scraps. And so what happens if you have a bunch of men that are unable to get women and they're fighting for scraps? Chaos, right? It turns into chaos. It turns into a lot of crime, a lot of not being productive, not being controlled society. So society teaches men that wanting to get laid or wanting to do pickup is creepy, because that narrative is what allowed our society to be successful in the first place. But on an individual level, it really doesn't fucking matter. It only matters that the whole society is sheep. It's okay if there are a few wolves in the herd of sheep.
Yeah.
You
For
have to
sure.
have a lot of sheep to make things, to make the gears turn, basically. So that's the reason why you're told that pickup is creepy. And to be fair, it can be creepy. I've seen a lot of pickup techniques and teachings that are in fact creepy and are too pushy. I do my best to, you know, making it more of a win-win, making it healthier, not having those kind of mindsets, but just wanting sex. Like, dude, every single person in the world exists because of that desire.
Yeah. It's like you can be in great shape without being a sick bodybuilder or like Mr. Olympia bodybuilder. Like, there's always moderation to things.
Yeah. So
And one of the reasons why I started with working with Avery is because when I got to the gym and I started to get progress, I built up this mindset, like in life, like I know there's more to life, and I've always wanted more, kind of. So that when I got results in the gym, I started to think about my work, what I do for a living, and then I pursued fitness as a full-time job, and now I do that. And then I was like, all the girls I was interacting with and the girls that I was getting, I was like thinking like, yeah, isn't it more to life? Could I get better? And I always kind of knew that I could, but then I also thought like, am I going to use the same amount of time that I used to learn about fitness and get good at that with game as well? And that would have been taking me very long time.
yeah.
So that's why I started working with Avery, because I wanted to short down that time.
And I'd say so far that is what's happening.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, great. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the bell button, check out Jacob's channel, check out his Instagram. That'll be linked below, and have a good one.